Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. And now, just the takeaways from your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
Maria, another amazing interview. And Steve Mellor is we said, what a breath of fresh air. What a unique individual, such different perspectives, and brave and bold to take this new course in his life. So let's go ahead and start with the takeaways. Let's do a couple each. And we just really encourage you that this is definitely an interview. It's a little longer than some of ours, but listening to all of it is so valuable. So Maria, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you got to hear Steve and listen to him and look at his face. He's amazing. He's my first one would be, I can never hear this takeaway enough, that you learn about people, that you help people to grow by listening to them. He said, his secret sauce essentially was that he was in relationship with people, which just means that he listens to them and he tries to hear what it is over the course of conversations, over the course of getting to know somebody, what they really want by listening. So for me, that's a takeaway. It's just a reminder to if I want to love someone and to help someone, that I really have to hear what's, beyond, I have to listen to them. I have to listen to what they're saying. I have to continue listening to what they're saying and sort of shut my mouth and shut my thoughts a little bit. So that's my first takeaway. What about you, Kelly?
Gosh. And that is so key. Ties into my first one. My first takeaway is listening to yourself. Yeah. So of course you have to listen to others to help them and to be able to connect with them and all that, but listening to yourself. So Steve started this process of self-discovery and changing this course in his life 6 years ago when he started to go into counseling. And when we asked him what prompted that, in a nutshell, he was having kind of days that just he was not pleased with those days, and he was not happy with those days. And he figured out through listening to himself and going to counseling that he was out of alignment with his own values. Mm-hmm. So what he was pursuing, which was this, round the clock swim coach, get up at 5, make recruiting calls till 11. He was not being the father and the husband that were his values. So listening to yourself and being in alignment with your values. So that's my first takeaway. How about your second one?
I love that. I think so much of our unhappiness, we can drill down and say, I'm unhappy because right now I'm doing something that I don't really like, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's, I love that expression when you said it. It's like, that's so good. My second one is another just really practical tip he gave when I asked, how do you create these relationships with maybe competitors or maybe people that you want to sort of soften up with you? He said, you start by just telling stories on yourself, revealing a little bit of your own imperfection, basically being vulnerable. We've said this dozens of ways, but this is a really practical thing. It's like, if I want to break through to someone who's maybe, built a little bit of a wall, I can start by saying, here's my issues. And he said, I am very open. I tell people I'm in therapy, and that does seem to help people be willing to tell them their problems. So I'm going to take that very, very practical bit of advice going forward into relationships where I really I'm so anxious to become intimate with certain people. And I want to figure out the best way to do that. And I think that's a great starting gambit. What about you, Kel?
That is. And it's funny. I wonder if Steve and I had the same communications professor at NC State, because he and I'm serious, because when he said that in the show, I almost said, this is a phrase that I remember that one of my favorite professors in college, they used to say, the best way to get disclosure from someone is to disclose yourself. Right. So that is it. That's really, that's like a rule of communication is disclosure brings disclosure. So that's just another way of saying it. Yeah. I love it. So my second one, and to close out the show, is we love to know what makes a champion. So Steve felt, and I totally think it was really wise and bright, is the champions. One of the things that he sees champions do is not attach themselves to the outcome, so this is,
Process.
there are many parts to this. It could be enjoying the journey, or, that I'm separate. If I go to a race this weekend and I don't perform the certain time I want, I'm still a good person. So I think that was my second takeaway. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I think so too. Very wise man. If
yes. Hope everybody gets to listen.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Maria, another great one in the books. Love you.
Love you too, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast with host Kelly Palace and Maria Parker. Champions Mojo is produced by Cabra Media, and a new episode debuts every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Follow Champions Mojo on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @Champions Mojo.